and welcome to the Bee Formless Driven CEO podcast. Already loving the bright energy and welcoming to the show, Rosanne Callens. Welcome to the show, Rosanne.
Hi, Bee. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Take two, right? Last week we tried, and the universe and technology got in the way, and here we are. And I think it was meant to be today. Uh,
Absolutely.
Residing in, well, you said Northern California, so right near San Francisco, the beautiful place you said of California, where I think it's Wednesday afternoon, and just got
That
back
is
from
correct.
your
Beautiful Northern California.
yeah, and you said you just come back from your daughter's sunset. What a privilege it is to be able to, do those things when you have your own business and not feel like you're having to report back that "Oh, I've just got to take this time out, which takes me into you are an empowerment coach.
Absolutely. I have just the best job in the whole world where I get to help people transition into just that next level of their life, whether they're feeling stuck in their career, their personal life, their professional life, relationships. It is an honor to help, just to be on someone's journey with them.
I love it. And so, Empowerment Coach, you've had the company since 2017. So you're super excited because you're about to come, well, in the next year or so, you hit your 10-year anniversary, which is no small feat when it's, in business and, running your own business. And we were just talking about that, and we'll get into it a little bit more. You're also the creator of Operation in capital letters U, which I'm pretty keen to explore as well. You offer programs, retreats, and your coaching, like you said, is designed to help high achieving women rewrite unhelpful rules, restore energy and focus, and reconnect with what truly lights them up. You run private and group coaching and host retreats in California and Europe. Love
Yeah.
it. Tell us about your journey because you said previously to having your own company, you were in military and military service and working, and you said that was super empowering also. So how did you go from that into then becoming an empowerment coach? What happened? Where did this
Wow.
change happen?
That's a really great question. Thank you. It's actually twofold. So I was married to someone in the military and I was a military spouse and I still identify still so much as a military spouse, right? It's just once you've done it, you've done it. And then I was also a civilian in the military and I had the honor and privilege of working inside a center where we had a huge transition program that is every service member gets the privilege and the honor, right? We get the privilege and honor to work with service members before they get out of the military and help them with their career transitions. And so that's really where I got into the zone of like, man, I really love helping people with getting their specific careers, right? However, there was also, being a military spouse and everything, there was also a season in my life where I just felt like I was floating, right? It's like everything looked like I was successful on the outside and that I was so happy. And granted, even though I've always been a high achiever and goal oriented, like you could say to me, Roseanne, I want to get a job in Antarctica. I'd be like, what? Let's go. Like, let's figure this out. Right. And I'm just very, very optimistic. However, I was just going through the motions. Right. And I was saying I'm fine to everyone. But in reality, I
Yeah.
was not fine. I
Yeah.
was just not fine. I just lost that spark. I lost that sense of me that used to feel so natural. And like in reality, I realized I didn't have a roadmap for me. That's where I was struggling, right? And the ultimate irony is I was doing it for everyone else, right? We're
People
always so
pleasing?
good.
Would you say?
Yeah, we're so good at doing it for everyone else, right? And so I knew what I was supposed to do. However, I didn't really have a roadmap for me. So, I mean, I teach people, right? I was teaching people how to do this. And so that was the moment that something shifted for me. And I just realized that I needed to start paying attention to the signs. In fact, I just even did a short video on this before we got into the call, right? Like sometimes we just don't pay attention to the signs that our body's giving us. I don't know about you. I know we were talking about our eyes too before our session here, but for me, my eye starts to twitch and people can't see it, but I feel like my eyes are doing that, right? My
It
eye was
happens to me. I had
twitching.
one up here last week. I was like, what's going on? Like it was just this twitch, 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 twitch. And I was like, it's generally in the eye, but it was coming
Ex-
up above my eye.
Right. And when we don't pay attention to that, our body's like, okay, you're not paying attention to the eye twitching. Well, now I'm going to do something else. Right. And so I just said, I need to give myself permission and to stop saying I'm fine. And that's really where Operation You began. And so it really wasn't a business or coaching framework at first. It was very personal to me. I love a good checklist. I'm very type A. The
Okay.
military who I was working with, they love their checklists. And I thought, well, this is perfect. I'm going to just call it Operation You. And at first, it was really just you. And I would say to people, hey, great job taking the time to take care of you. So you always felt just very personal to me. But then just like the military too, I love using acronyms, right? And so then I started thinking, what does, you really stand for? And, we might be getting into that later, but just really that's how I started my business. I really wanted to help people that were just always there for everyone else, very high achieving, just feeling like what the heck has happened in my life. And I wanted to help give them the time and the accountability to take care of themselves without feeling guilty.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a lived experience which has formed your business, right? And I think that especially when it comes to what you're doing in terms of empowerment coaching, having that lived experience, understanding where your client has been and, almost at that crossroads of everything looks fine on the outside, but on the inside I'm falling apart.
Yes.
And being
I
able to completely understand that, I feel like your type of business and mine in terms of the fact that the formless is exactly the same. It's I created the methodology through my own, I guess having like the same thing where I was just like, this is not working anymore. And having to
yeah.
actually surrender and accept and go, what does this look like? What is this? How do I work this? How do I work through this myself? And then I'm like, actually, there's other people that are feeling or going through the same thing. And I don't know about you, and I guess this is a question for you, is that, you know, I realized that, gosh, if I'm going through this, there must be so many other women or even men out there that are having the same challenges and not
Yes.
knowing what to do. Like, is that where you got to, like, in terms of you created Operation You for you as a starting point, but then you were like, if this is happening to me, how many other people is this happening to? And there's
Yes.
nothing really out there that is actually supporting me the way I need it.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Well, number one, it's really hard to feel. I think we get to a certain point and we feel guilty for making ourselves a priority, right? So we already, we have that one layer. And we're also feeling like, hey, I've got to figure this out and I have to find a way back to myself. But then also, what do I really want? Like you were saying too, right? It's like you get to the point where, you're successful or you've accomplished all these great things and you're thinking, well, what is next? And I started doing another thing where I started telling people you need to celebrate your champagne moments, right? Because when you are so used to hitting all those benchmarks, it's like next, next, next. And I said, no, 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 no. I I want to remember to celebrate the champagne moments. And so I'm sorry, my all of a sudden we get on video and your nose starts to run.
I know
But
it happens to me, and I need my tissue box with
it's
me. I'm
like
glad, I'm glad you just
I
shared
got it.
what it is
I
because
just got it right here. One really cool thing I did a workshop once, or I spoke to a group of realtors, and realtors, people that are in real estate are like next, 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 right? And they're high performers and a lot of energy. And I said, I want everyone to go to their phones right now. Go to your phones and go to your picture section and just go through your pictures. And I want you to stop on the one where you go, oh, and I mean, I get goosebumps talking about this. We had three, like we were kind of in tears, choked up in the audience because it's like we just forgot some of these things even happened. And there was one man in the audience, and he was like, oh, it's my son's first time he ever hit the baseball, and he made it to second base. And you could, his fatherly pride was shining through. And I was like, oh my goodness. So we forget. We forget the things that make us happy. We forget the things that we've really put our heart and our soul into. And so, yeah, that's why just you is very personal. It's very, very personal to me, and it should be with everyone else. And I call it empowerment coaching because while I love that people say, Rosanne, I love working with you and you make me feel so good, the magic is in them, right? The magic is in you. We all have our own magic, and we all get an opportunity to learn how to tap into that magic, right? And so, once again, back to you,
Yeah.
you have the power.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit about, so how do you start like Operation You? How does it start? Like, is it like, you mean,
Yeah.
is it like a program? Like, how does it work?
Of course, I have a program. Just kidding. Well, starting with the why, right? It's your purpose and vision, right? And so with the new year coming up, so for any of you watching this, we're toward the end of the year here, right? I love to not only look back and be proud of those champagne moments, but to really look forward as well. And instead of thinking I want to do all these million things for the year, even just coming up with one word. Like, what's one word? So my word for this year, for 2025, was actually naked. Now that's hilarious. I was not going anywhere naked. But for me, being out on social media or sitting here with you and being on video, that makes me feel extremely vulnerable and just naked. It's just something it's not natural for me to be like, yes, I want to do that. So I said, I'm going to just have that be my word so that I can just be comfortably uncomfortable and just do it, right? Instead of waiting for like, I'm going to lose 10 more pounds. I'm going to get better lighting, whatever it is, right? So you got to think about what your purpose and
Yeah.
vision is. So
Yeah.
the why stands for your purpose and vision. So getting grounded with what really matters to you. And then just what is defining success on your own terms. So for me, people might say, "Oh, you want to be an influencer." No, I really just want to do like 30 days in a row of small videos. Like that would be so great for me, right? So what is it for you? So the why is your purpose and vision. The O, so that could take some time. When I'm working with clients or I'm at a retreat, it just depends on my time frame that I have, right? You could spend a lot of time on that, B, right? You could spend a lot of time.
100%.
Absolutely. So it could be a short inject or a short time that you're journaling, or it can be a longer time, which is the whole point of me wanting to have these retreats is for people to just have time to think. So
Switch
even,
out. Yeah. Switch off, I should
yes,
say. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, just
Be
getting
in the
out of your,
moment. Yeah.
I have a hard time at my house watching a movie or something because I feel like, oh, I should be getting the lights up for Christmas. I start to feel all the things I should be doing. But if I'm out of my other zone and somewhere totally new, it's like I do give myself permission
Yeah, you
to,
do. You do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that so funny how that is?
Yeah.
And then the O is really that optimizing your strategy, right? So what does that mean? What are you going to do day to day for that bigger purpose that you said you wanted your life? So for me at the beginning of 2025, I said I wanted to just be vulnerable and do some videos. Okay, well now how am I going to do that in my day to day bigger purpose, right? The
Yeah.
strategy piece, which I love strategy. I can talk about that like all day long. How do you get it to move into the direction that you want it to go to?
100%. Well, you can't have anything without a strategy. Like, whether it's a business, a leader, or a team, we all need
Yes.
to have a strategy. And I'm all about having that strategy, the blueprint for yourself. What's your one page business or one page life plan, if you like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my love language when you said blueprint. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So like what is that? And I have tons of books I love to read, but James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, he's so famous for that
Yeah.
1%, right? That's so doable for people. Just
Yeah.
what's one little thing you can do, right? What's one little thing? And then the U is just unleashing success. I just love the visual. Just unleash, right? Unleash your success, which means stepping forward. So feeling empowered by that time, by the time you're on the U, we're really doing a lot of empowerment stuff, right? And so now it's like you have the tools and you're moving forward with the confidence and with the joy and really with the energy to sustain it. And also how to, oh, look, I even have like my phone, like how to have yourself plugged in. We always plug our phones in every single night. And what happens if we get upstairs or wherever our bedroom is and we don't have the plug? What do?
Go
We're
get
like, oh
it.
my, where's the plug? We're so worried about it, right? And we plug it in. but we just do not do that ourselves,
No, you're so
right?
yeah, you're so right. Like we do. Like I don't have the phone in my room at night. I don't know about you, but I'm just like I've got a no tech rule in my sleep room, my bedroom, I should say, not sleep room, but you know what I mean. But like
Love
you're
it. I
right.
love it.
Like everyone's like, oh, the battery's about to run out. But when our battery's about to run out, we seem to just keep pushing
Yes.
ourselves, and that's for me
Yes.
trying to keep up the hustle culture, that we really need to break down, because back to those celebrating those champagne moments, we're constantly jumping. I don't know about you. I'm just noticing more and more. We're just constantly either looking back or looking forward and just jumping out of this present moment. And even what you were talking about with like watching a show or a series, I've noticed lately. I can't even, I turn a series on or a show and then I just want to turn it off and just sit there in silence because I'm just like, I just need to sit.
Yes. Too much noise, right? Yeah, when we take the time to, I love to read. I know I talked about James Clear. So I love to read to learn. And I also realized that I needed to go back to reading for pleasure too, for that exact reason, right? When we read or listen to an audiobook, some people really love audiobooks, right? But it's just doing something where we're just taking ourselves out of the day to day, everything that's going on, and putting ourselves into another space. That's very powerful, right? Because when you're honoring, once again, when you're honoring you, everything else really starts to fall into place because you're taking that time to breathe, to plug, once again, to the phone thing. When we plug our phones in, they install the updates, right? I used to call you your own upgrade, and I still like that too, right? Your own update, your own upgrade, because you just realize, hey, I got to do, installing updates one of 200, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
we need
100%.
they need the time to do that. And that's what that reminded me of, B, when you said that. Like, you're sitting there watching the show and then you're thinking, oh man, I don't even want to watch this, right? It's like that's even your body saying, hey, you need to have an update. Like, just chill out and turn off the TV.
Yeah, it's just that silence. I'm really enjoying the silence a lot more than usual of late. Just like, and I think because AI and tech, and there's just all
Uh,
so many things now that, it's quite like not impossible, but you have to really be conscious of, ensuring that you are recharging yourself and plugging yourself back in. I mean, I term it active recovery. How are you? And I'll be interested to hear what when you first connect with clients and understanding their current program because quite often the program is just so full that I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, but if you made the time, it's back to what you're talking about. Things just flow. Like the
yes.
more we try and control, the more we hustle, the more we don't allow space,
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
stunted, whether that's in business or in life, you get stuck. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Or it's even working so hard. You're working so hard that you're not thinking strategically and you're not being seen for that promotion. Or someone says, I even had someone say to me one time, a client said that they said to their boss, why didn't you put my name into the hat for the promotion? And the boss said, oh, I didn't even know you wanted that. And they were really dumbfounded. And they said to me, but I guess I didn't say it, right? And so sometimes I say we have to do the peacock. When you see peacocks going around
Yeah.
and they've got the feathers behind their back, and you're like, oh, there's a peacock. And the next thing you know, they go, and like their like their feathers are out, and you're like, dang, those are really big feathers, right?
Yeah. I
It's
love
just
peacocks. They're
it's
beautiful.
just, yes, they're gorgeous, right? And oftentimes, women especially, and it's nothing wrong with men. It's just men tend to boast a little bit more about this, and that's okay in the workplace. But women tend to just not, and therefore they're walking around, with all the feathers behind and thinking everyone knows that they would want that or something, to that effect. So we have to be able to articulate what we want and be able to breathe to see, how do I make that happen, whether it's a promotion or maybe you're feeling stuck in your relationship and you're focusing on all the things that your partner isn't versus all the things that your partner is.
Is yeah.
All of those things,
Tell us,
all of it,
yeah,
so important.
could not agree more. Tell me a little bit about what do you see as the biggest opportunities right now when it comes to high achieving women? And I guess I want to tap into this unhelpful rules bit, right? Like, what is blocking them? What are the unhelpful rules that you're really observing right now in 2025 for high achieving women? I mean, you've been in business nearly 10 years, so some things you're just like they're exactly it's the same patterns, but like, is there anything different in 2025 that you're noticing that is unhelpful when it comes to the rules that you're seeing women are putting on themselves, high achieving women?
Well, in respect of our time we have together, because I would love to say so much on this, right? I think that a lot of times women want, we say that men love to jump in and fix things, but I have to say I think that women go toe to toe with wanting to just constantly jump in and fix, right? And really it's about thinking, is this my problem to fix? So a lot of times I have people come to me who are struggling with boundaries at work, or like 2025, like you were saying, the tech piece, everything, everyone wants you to respond all the time or respond after hours at work. But then I'll push back and say, well, but do you? Like, do you have to? Is this a clear expectation? Is it not? Are you choosing to put that on yourself? Right. Another thing too that I will say to high achieving women who are extremely hard on themselves is they'll share something with me. Like I had a client that just thought, she just did something so horrible. And I said, okay, I just want to ask you, if your son or daughter came up to you and just explained this whole problem, would you say, wow, that was really horrible the way you reacted to that? And right away, she was like, no, I would never say that to them. So why are we saying it to
Yeah,
ourselves? Right?
yeah.
We're so hard and mean to ourselves. We say mean things to ourselves that we wouldn't even say to anyone.
So why
Anyone.
are we, Roseanne, though? Like, what is it? Like, I mean, yeah, I've got my own answers for this, but I want to hear what you think as an empowerment coach.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is that our brain is hardwired, to protect us, number one. And the other one is to freak us out, right? And so it's the reframing. It's like we get constantly stuck in these loops, whether it's something that we've learned, we've decided to take on, like people say emotional baggage. I'll say like the 45-pound backpack, right? We've just decided to take all this on instead of taking the time to really look at, why am I saying that to myself? How can I reframe it into a more powerful
Mm,
thought?
mm.
Or another thing is to say to our brains, is that true? Right? Like if I have a client say, I can't get into a job because I didn't go to an Ivy League school, I'll say, well, do you think that there are people out here in the world that have gotten into jobs like that who did not go to Ivy League schools? And they're going to say, what? Okay, yes. So
Yeah.
is it true right? And sometimes it's just breaking it down just for the moment. It's not this big, hard PhD level need to unraveling. It's very, very basic. What's your thought, B? I'd like to hear yours too.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly what you're talking about in terms of and I do it. I still catch myself out. Like no one's perfect. We were talking about even from a business perspective and I want to tap into that bit as well. So I won't give that away to the audience just yet. But for me, it's just this constant, it's just that constant for me. It's like we are so ingrained in terms of, or yeah, we've been trained and ingrained that success comes from the outside, right? Like this, and so for me, we there's so much success and pressure in the outside. We take
Yes.
it and we go, oh, that's what I'm meant to be doing, or I should be this far ahead in my business, or I should be this sort of a parent, or like I'm not at this point in time in my life, and or I don't have the wealth that I should have, or back to your career piece. So we look
Yes.
around and we grab it and we almost put it inside of us. And then it's like you say, the brain and the amygdala, and then we just start fighting with ourselves. We're competing with ourselves. And I was doing this yesterday, right? Like, even with this podcast, like I've got that many on the go at the moment. And I was like, I've got to get so many out. Da, da, da. And then I'm like, what pressure? Who's driving this? And it's me driving it because I've got this expectation of myself, but it comes
Yeah.
back to plugging, like back to the mobile phone and plugging yourself in and being able to recharge and just go, like, work will always be there. This
Hmm.
will always be there. So hang on a second. How do I chunk this down? How do I subtract? Like, subtractive psychology. And what's
Yes.
actually really going on here? What is this? It's asking those critical questions. I
Yes.
think we're at a time in place that we need to, and people like you and what I'm doing, my business, it's reshaping and redefining what does success look like. And success starts from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yes. Oh, 100%. And really, is anyone going to be mad at you if you say, "Hey, everyone, the podcast isn't out this week because I took some family time"? People would be like, "Oh, man, I need to take some more family time." No one's going to, I would say this, if anyone's going to be mad at you about that, then do you want that person to really be your listener anyway? Right.
No, that's
Or whatever.
that's
Mhm.
exactly right. It's so
Yeah.
true. Tell
Yes.
me, we talked before the show and we were talking about, and this kind of is part of this, right? Perfectionism and having, like, you were talking about your backdrop and and you said, "B, how long have you been in business?" And I said, like 2 years, but like the first year you could kind of say that was just I was a bit of a trainee at that point. And it comes back to this outside, and you said, you in the last 2 years have really looking at your beautiful backdrop and I guess kind of got it all together is the wrong thing. But you said I was one hot, I've been, it was action. I can't remember what you said, but it was something about action and
I said,
being
uh,
messy and yeah, sorry, you go.
yeah, I said action takers are money makers, right? And that by taking action and doing the things, it was bringing me money versus it's okay if it was messy. I was a hot mess, is what I said. My background was just a hot mess. And I just didn't let that stop me because I needed to have my business go forward, right? And I just would say people are going to be happy that it's me on here. Not they're not going to say, "Oh, that's it. I'm not going to meet with Rosanne. Her lighting's bad." I mean, we always want to compare to everyone else. And it was really funny because I was talking to this person one time before I started my business, and she said, "Oh, Roseanne, you'd be so great. I feel like you're my coach right now." And I was, "Oh, well, I have a dream one day, like we always say." And but I don't have lights. I don't know how to use Zoom. This is like when Skype was around. Okay. So
God,
it was like,
yeah.
so it was like, I don't know how to use Skype. I don't know how to use Zoom. And I was telling her all the reasons why it won't work. And when she said this to me, this was like a lightning bolt for me. She said, "Well, if you wait for all the lights to be green, you'll never leave the driveway." And I was like, "What?
So true, so
Oh
true.
my God." I said, "You are right." And like, I always think about that. And it's like, even my videos on Instagram and all that stuff, I'm like, "Listen, people, I am trying the best I can. Okay. But I'm just putting this out here. And I'm totally, in a loving way, envious of all the people that are like, footloose and fancy free on it. But that's okay because we're doing it. So see, we have to just be gentle on ourselves, just like I was saying to you, like, be gentle on yourself because this only happened just recently, right? And I just think that makes people feel, that you're a more authentic human too when
I
you're
was about
like,
to say, and
"I'm
practicing
just
that
trying."
imperfection, don't you think? Like it's of the ability to, and especially now, the women I work with as well, I'm constantly saying you be your authentic self. Like, what's your personal brand identity? Like, I see you bright colors. Pink is a color for you. Pink, you had pink.
Love it. I love it. Yes.
Yeah, pink seems like it's your thing. We talked about our glasses and stuff like that. Like social media, there's all these rules and how you should, be and how you should look and what you should be doing and how you should hold the camera. I'm like, who says? Like I am so rogue, it's not funny. And I'm like constantly getting, like cold emails going, "Oh, I saw this of what you're doing and did you know if you do this and this?" I'm like, yeah, maybe, but you're actually then pulling some of my authenticity out of me. And I'm not suggesting there's things that you need to take on board, right? Don't get me wrong.
Right. Of course. Of
But don't
course.
pull my authenticity away from me because that's what you say. Like that's why people want to be around you. That's why people want to be inspired by you or, work
Yes.
with you, for example, as like from an empowerment coach perspective. I think that's
Yes.
what we've got to be kinder to ourselves about.
Yes, we do. We need to be. And I feel I do, we tease the younger generation and we say, "Oh, they have it so easy." And my daughter and I were watching Stranger Things, and it's very interesting to watch with someone in high school, the 80s and how they didn't have texting, they didn't have this, right? They were just riding their bikes trying to find where everyone was. And for me, it's really funny because I grew up then. And I was like, yeah, we just never knew where anyone was, and it's just, but for my daughter, I do feel that it's really hard because they're always on social media or on this or on that, or their friends will say, why aren't you on there? And it's just a very different thing. I think that for people that are from the time period of like, flip phones, let's say, even that was a very different time when the phones were first coming out, right?
Mm.
We weren't worried necessarily about plugging it in every night back then. We weren't. It only became when it was like just so much more of a necessity. And so I find that another, when you say what do a lot of women and clients talk to me about, another one that people really struggle with in 2025 or just this day and age are boundaries,
Yeah.
and being able to say, like, I find that for both of I have two girls, and a son, but for my girls especially, I love to give them some like template things to say. Like if someone's just being, let's say someone's being mean, right? It's just even saying something as simple as, well, what did you mean by that?
Yeah, being curious.
Because then someone has to admit that they were being mean,
Yeah.
right? Or just, or a boundary of saying, like, that sounds so lovely, but I'm really trying to keep it low key this week. No one's going to pressure you and be like, oh, I want you to not keep it low key, right? It's just sometimes we think that we have to be an aggressive, like dominatrix mistress or something to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't have to be that way at all. Like, what's another one? Well, I'd love to go out to dinner with you. However, I'm trying to maintain some sanity in my nighttime. How about a coffee instead? Because really, what does the person want? They just want some time with you.
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't.
agree. It's so good. The boundaries are such a good reality check. They really are. You, when you booked in for the pod, I mean, you've pretty much answered this, but I do want to read it out because I think it's important. When you booked in for the pod and I asked what's one unique insight when it comes to life leadership or business, you said, I've learned that it's possible to have everything look successful on the outside and still feel completely disconnected on the inside. When you honor you, everything else like your career, relationships, and confidence begins to fall back into place.
Yeah.
But honoring you, can you just go back there again for us, please, and
Yeah.
just talk about how when you honor you and when you honor yourself and you reconnect, what I call like to call the mind, body, soul, and you get interconnected with you.
Yes.
How does everything, I guess, fall into place or fall
Well,
back
I mean,
into
I
place?
would love for it to be like a movie, but I'll just say this. It's really interesting because some of the most difficult and most sad times of my own personal life on the outside, people would have thought were the most amazing. So I say that to everyone, right? You would have looked at my life. Let's say you saw me on Facebook back in the day, right? And you were like, Roseanne's living in Europe and she's doing this and she has this amazing job and she gets to travel for her job. But everyone's going to think it was so amazing. But in reality, my father had passed away and a very complicated relationship with him. And I was just very lost after that life without him. I was really struggling in being in a marriage that it was a wonderful husband and dad, but I wasn't feeling like that was right for me either. And then I wasn't feeling like my job was giving me the true happiness. And I was miserable, but not in the way. I was just floating. The best thing, I love art. My mom's an artist, and I love Chagall. And Chagall has so many beautiful paintings of like people floating. And I resonate with Chagall because it's like that's how I feel when I'm at my most overwhelmed or sad. I feel like I'm floating. So even when I say stuck, stuck to me is still floating, which means people see me and I'm there. And normal Roseanne, normal operating system is pretty vibrant still, but that doesn't mean that I'm not struggling on the inside. So this, when I say that people, what you just read back to me, people really have this great way of looking so wonderful on the outside. But you know what? They're not taking the time to say, how am I really feeling? Because you know what? They don't want to feel. Okay. Or conversely, they don't have people in their life to say, hey, B, how are you really doing?
Mm.
I noticed you're wearing the same glasses 3 days in a row. That's not like you. You normally change your glasses,
Yeah, you picked
right?
up on me changing my glasses too.
I did pick up on you changing glasses, but I'm saying that when we honor ourselves and we take the time to feel and to look at what it is that we need to, lock into for a little bit, it also helps us see others and be that person that we want to be, right? And so that's why Operation You, or that's just why taking care of you is so, so, so important with and I feel that coaching is invaluable, whether it's me or you or anyone, just to even find someone to be a coach or a mentor, someone that you can say,
Yeah, I
hey,
agree.
I'm just not feeling it. Can you please help me with one piece of advice, just one, and then go and try it and come back, right? That's why to me, coaching is very powerful.
I love it. So cool, Rosanne.
Yeah.
What would be, what, I'm going to completely switch this up. What would be one piece of advice you would give someone? Let's go into leadership business here for a second. Someone who was floating
Mm-hmm.
and really was completely floating, knew there was something out there for them, but didn't know what it was,
Mm. Yeah.
and was floating, but was
Yeah.
also quite scared to do something about it, like back to action. What would be the piece of advice you would give them?
Well, I love that. I love that question. Okay. Well, oftentimes the people that are floating are waiting for someday. And typically when I have a talk with them, or whether it's someone I know, whether it's a complimentary call, and they're describing what you're saying to me, I'll tell them this. There are 7 days in a week, and someday is not one of them. So by you deciding to call or make a call with me or to reach out to someone, you're saying, hey, I don't want to wait for someday. I want to do something. But then they're telling you, well, I don't know what it is though, right? So one of my favorite things to do is to have them tell me what they never want to do. It's like, have you ever gone to go get your hair cut, whether it's a guy or a girl, and you just don't know what you really want it to look like, but you definitely know what you don't want it to look like? I had a hairdresser, and she said I still talk about you because when you're in the living with someone in the military, you move around all the time. And I had this new hairdresser, and I said, hey, I have this little scrapbook of what I don't want my hair to look like, and I cut out some pictures from a magazine. This is before the cell phone days, everyone. And so she thought it was so hilarious, and I do that so often in my coaching. I'll have people tell me what it is that they don't want, and then what it does is it kind of like just uncorks the creativity from their
Yeah, I
mind,
love it.
right?
Good.
Yeah, so they can tell you what they don't want. So then they tell me, okay, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Okay, but they're still feeling like someday, and then they're floating, right? And I'm like, okay, well, now that we've gotten what you don't want, but you still don't know what you do want. And I would just really like to say this, and I hope that everyone listening really does do this. And it might sound a little woo-woo, but I'm telling you, it's very touching. I tell them to write a love letter to themselves.
Mm,
And a love letter can be whatever you want it to be, but I want them to say, dear Rosanne, I love you and I'm so proud of you for. And then what are those things that you love yourself and are proud of yourself for? And then I have them say, and I forgive you for. Because oftentimes we're feeling stuck because we're holding on to something that might be, we feel shame, we feel guilty. Like when we started this call today, you talked about me going to my daughter's, being able to be there for my daughter's school event. And I have times in my career where I never made the time, nor sometimes could make the time for it. So I myself still have a lot of those feelings. So anytime I get to go to hers now, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I get to do this, right?
yeah,
And
it's cool.
so what just check in with yourself. That's what I would say. If someone's floating or whatever, I really just you checking into yourself and allowing yourself to feel, that really releases a lot of emotions and also a lot of thoughts. So
Yeah.
now your thoughts become clearer.
I love it. So cool. And that whole what do you not want? Like I love that from a hairdresser perspective, but I've done that to clients a lot in terms of, even in my old career, what is it that you're not looking for in a client relationship? They're like, whoa, no one's ever asked me that. And then
It's so great. Yeah.
it's so empowering, isn't it? Because then it's just out. Anyway, you and
Yeah.
I could keep talking, and I feel like we've got a part two of a podcast coming up, maybe in 6 months' time, and just like solving all the problems of 2026 and what we're seeing is going on, especially with
Oh, yes.
high achieving women. But Rosanne, how do we find out more about you, and where do we go for understanding more about your program and your retreats and things?
Well, first of all, I just want to honor you and your time and what you're putting out there in the world because you were one of the first people that when you connected with me on LinkedIn and I looked at your page, I just thought, man, this woman is out changing the world. So kudos to you.
Thank you,
Go
as
for
are
it.
you. But it's connecting with like-minded people, right? We've got to do
I
more of this. The
It
world
was
needs
just,
it.
oh, it was so fun. So, speaking of that, so I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. And please comment on one or two of my videos because I just try so hard. You guys have heard me talk about that today. And then I have a few things, on TikTok that I'm doing. And I'm just, but how you find me, I have my website, rosannecallens.com, and it has my retreats on there. It has how to get in touch with me. And yeah, it's just I'm honored for anyone listening to me today too. I've loved this time. Thank you so much, B.
No, thank you, and such an empowering conversation. So thank
Oh,
you, and have a wonderful, wonderful
yeah.
Wednesday.
Well, have a wonderful day
Rest
to
of the
everyone
day,
listening.
rest of the evening. Thanks, Rosanne. Take care. Thank
Thank
you.
you.